Books. Book.
Books are great.
Books. I need my book.
People never really stop loving books.
Welcome. Come on into my, this space, which is my living room where I live sometimes.
I live here, so I won't actually be going anywhere.
Welcome to this week's episode of Behind the Streams, where we're going to talk about the post raised by literature. Tried very hard to say literature correctly right then, because I'm a fancy lass.
That is the least fancy thing I have ever heard.
Raised by literature, as in from a wee child to a full-grown whatever it is you are now.
What the hell is that?
As opposed to raised to the ground by it, which we sometimes are. But that's another subject for another day. Let's get straight into this subject. Take a squiz at this. This was on my corkboard, my vision board. Told you before, I don't call it a vision board. And then I read the story about Tom Verlaine's book sale. And I thought those two things would go together quite well. And so here we are today, springboarded by some books in a garage, or two garages apparently, in Brooklyn, that you could wander in with a box and buy some books, owned by a rock star. Now, Tom Verlaine of television, who passed away earlier this year. And he's from a certain era of musician or artist that I would call the old guard. And I say that with such affection, like it's not a knock. And this is like a classification of artists or musicians who are or were in it. And I don't mean in it in the sense of the industry, totally devoted to being in the pursuit of creativity.
Officers are in pursuit.
And absorbing influences still. This is just my opinion. And it can feel at times like it's not real, like it's not sincere.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Like you can look at Patti Smith and say, she can't possibly love Rimbaud that much. Every time she visits some poet's grave in Europe somewhere, you're like, wow, she really loves those poets. That can't possibly be real. But it's so sincere. It is real. I don't want to use the word authentic because that is overused as well. It's just real.
I'm the dude.
So this book sale, Tom Verlaine was rumoured to have 50,000 books in his collection, his personal collection.
There's only so many books a person can read.
Two different garages. One was filled with $5 books, and one was filled with $10 books.
Books?
And you'd pay for like a certain box size, whatever you could fit into that box. That was what you got at the Tom Verlaine book sale.
I've never seen so many books.
I would have loved to have gone. Point is, the old guard, we can learn a lot from them. What would we learn from their book collections, I wonder? I mean, I actually think if you have 50,000 books, you're probably not going to learn that much about a person because it's too broad. You would need a smaller collection of books that were representative of that person. If I were to walk into your house today, I mean, you would invite me over, obviously. I wouldn't just turn up. That would be rude.
Yes, you have to be invited in.
And if you invited me in and I looked at your bookcase, what sort of picture do you think that would paint of you to me? Side note, whenever I get an opportunity to use this John Waters quote, I always use it because it's a banger. If you go home with someone and they don't have books, don't f*** them.
We go over here to the Brooks, where I love to collect books. That's the only thing I really collect over and over and over.
A person who doesn't read, you don't need to be near that person. But that's just an aside.
There is no smoking in this theater.
I thought it might be fun.
Do you even know what fun is?
Getting a selection of books and doing a quick flash sample of these books. Let's posit a theory as to the personality of the person who owns them. Which is me, by the way. I own the books. They're not on loan. I purchased them all. Some were gifts, actually. Let's get cracking. I'll also preface this by saying I haven't put a lot of fiction in here. Just know that I have fiction and it's
Such a cliche.
the people that you would expect me to have, probably. Like, I love Cormac McCarthy, John Irving books, Vonnegut, good old Kurt.
We are doomed through eternity to repeat this program.
Plenty of Salman Rushdie, Martin Amis, a bunch of Tim Winton books. He's an Australian author. You should read him. Clive James. Did Clive James write any fiction? Like, he was a memoir, kind of write about TV guy. And poetry. I have Clive James poetry. I also have a lot of poetry. I'm not going to show that either. I'm just curious, like, showing these books, will it make me look like I'm trying to be some kind of pseudo-intellectual and trying to look smart? I don't need to look smart. I am smart. I just said that. It's true. It's sort of not true also. We can all accept our own weaknesses.
My weakness is small knives.
Or will it make me look like I'm some kind of crazy person that can't make up their mind of what they want to read? Probably that. Let's look at the books. Here we go. Girls to the front. How to Survive a Robot Uprising. Vernon Littlegod. The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. 101 Ways to Use a Unicorn. Hal. Kinky Friedman. God Bless John Wayne. Is this called anything? ABC 3D? Oh, because you look at The Chocolate War. Cruel Shoes. Some William Blake. Dag's Head Revisited. Do polar bears experience religious ecstasy? Plato. The Wordsworth Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. The Doug Anthony All-Stars book. Electrical Banana. The Spike Milligan Family Mixture. Catch-22. There's some fiction. I bought this when I was 15. So what does that say about me? I bought this one because I read it in high school and liked it so much I wanted to own a copy. What does owning Catch-22 say about me? I like assigned literature. This, Electrical Banana. This is about psychedelic art. I buy books like this, sort of as a reference, I guess. Inspiration, just things I like to look at. Sometimes when you're trying to come up with ideas, particularly if you work in advertising, if you're a writer, you should have some sort of visual idea what you're trying to do as well. Who doesn't love psychedelia? Crikey, look at that! This is one of those books you buy because it looks a certain way. It's a style. This would be an example of a book that I get just because it's interesting. It's in 3D. Cool. This book, I loved the Doug Anthony All-Stars, but I also like things that show like a handmade fanzine kind of feel. Something that makes you feel like you could make that. A book like this would probably suggest that, first of all, I'm a comedy fan, and maybe that I like graphic novels, or I like drawing things or telling stories in visual ways. Does that say that about me? Kinky Friedman, a lot of comedy writing here. Spike Milligan, comedy, puns, silly verse for kids. $6! Dag's Head Revisited. If you're a New Zealander or an Australian, you would know Fred Dag, who was a character that he used to do.
Now, obviously, the first thing to decide is what sort of novelist you'd like to be.
He also used to do, what was that political thing?
This ship that was involved in the incident off Western Australia this week.
Yeah, the one the front fell off.
Comedy. This just says pretentious. This says Janine's curious. I'm looking at one right there that says brain rules. I'm fascinated by my brain, or how brains work or don't work, or how they get all scrambled at times. That's why I have a lot of mind and thinking books. I think overarching, we're curious so far. Sometimes I buy these Man Booker or Pulitzer or Nobel books just to see what makes them so special. Like, what does it take to win one of those things? 101 Ways to Use a Unicorn. I'm a little obsessed with unicorns. This was a gift. Girls to the Front. I have a lot of musical books. I have a lot of books on songwriting. I have a lot of books on artists and biographies on musicians and stuff like this. I don't know when I bought this, but this is an old book. The Chocolate War. This was one of my favourite assigned readings from high school. Cost me $2. Do polar bears experience religious ecstasy? Some books I buy because of the title, and this would be one of those, were it not for the fact that I also know Ian Warden, and I found this in a secondhand bookstore, and I was like, oh, I used to work with Ian. $3.50. The Wordsworth Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. I bet I stole this from the Canberra Times Library. Oh, brother. I just cut out like 5 whole minutes of me rambling on about why every writer needs 2 essential books, a Bartlett's Thesaurus and a Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. And I rambled on and on about why, instead of talking about the subject today, which was what those books say about me. And they say, you're old. No, not old. Old school. Poetry. Plato, $3. This is Conversations between Plato and Socrates, actually. It's very small type, and my old lady eyes are starting to have trouble. This feels like I'm a very all over the place person. And I say that like it's a negative thing, but surely that's a positive thing. That means that I take my inspirations from all over, right? Is that what that means? I don't want you to think that I'm a scatterbrain, which is what I mostly think about me.
Brain scramblies.
I think it just means that I like to have a lot of creative fodder in my feed bag that I put over my head and just gnaw at.
Like a show horse.
Sounds bad. A lot of the books are dippers. I mentioned in the post about dipping in and sticking a hook and pulling out a fish, a word fish, but it can be a design fish as well. It's just like, you don't have to read all of a book, particularly reference books. You can just dip in and out. Even poetry is like that. Dip in and out, get your inspiration, find your thing, sample. All your books on your shelves in the Library of You. It's just a tasting menu.
Do not eat. Taste.
Of who you are. They don't define you, but they can certainly help shape you. They can inspire you. They can get you excited about stories. They can show you how people do things, and that can perhaps affect how you do things. Books, they can be like a foundation of your personality. Raised by literature, built by books. Tom Verlaine had 50,000 books, if you can believe it.
They're nice books. They're actually printed in India and just woven together by these fishermen.
Books ranging from, who knows, I wasn't there. Music, literature, science, poetry, mathematics, spirituality, religion. I mean, his personal library was an actual library, and the contents of his mind...
I'm a match that's burning down slowly.
...had elements of the contents of those books, whatever he chose to keep in his brain or discard.
Throw it away.
And the things that he fed his brain with may or may not have come out through his work. You learn to communicate your thoughts, your ideas, your emotions, in some part because of books, of what you stuff into your head, of what becomes the personal library of you, at the centre of your town, which is the self, yourself, the I. And scene.
Pretty